Very sad news today as we find out that singer, rapper, actress Miss Angie Stone died today in a vehicle crash on the highway in Alabama. It was reported that Miss Stone was traveling from a show that her and her group performed at, and they were traveling in a Sprinter van when there was a collision that involved a semi truck. Stated that the van rolled over multiple times and that of the 9 people involved in the crash, Miss Stone was listed at that time as the only fatality. She was 63 years old. She is a pioneer when it comes to music. The many forms of music that she performed in, along with the longevity of time that she performed in, really gives her the title for real as a legend. As a teenager, she was part of the first ever signed female rap group. Had a record out, got it played, it's on the radio, had hit across the world, and it changed music. The name of that group was called The Sequence. They were also nicknamed the Sugar Hill Girls, as they were signed to Sugar Hill Records, just as the men were at Sugar Hill Gang. The group consisted of Angie Stone, who went by the nickname of Angie B. There was also Miss Cheryl Cook, who went by Cheryl the Pearl. And then there was also Miss Gwendolyn Blondie Chisholm. They had a huge hit in the song Funk You Up. Great song, great writing. They all got to showcase their rapping ability. And let me tell you, at that time, I was of the age to know the song when it came out. There was nothing like it. It had not happened before. At that time, all of the music that was getting played and put on wax was either rapping with men in groups or men in solo, but it was a question of if women could even rap. Now, we had heard tell, but nothing was being shown until Sequence showed that it could be done, signed at Sugar Hill Records. Their accomplishment was amazing, and it was something that was completely talked about no matter where you went. So they had a couple of other nice songs off of it too, but nothing surpassed the first song. But what did happen was it opened a door for women, ladies, to show that they can do these things. So in time, we got Roxanne Shante, we got Queen Latifah, we got MC Light, and on from there, starting with the pioneers who were the Sequence. Now, because she went by Angie B, a lot of years went past before people realized that this was Angie Stone we were talking about and listening to. Sometime after that, she's joined into a group here and a group there. But the part that I feel is her most underrated time as a musician was when she was singing with a group by the name of Vertical Hold. Vertical Hold had a song called Seem You're Much Too Busy. And the flow of it, the music, it was jazzy, it was an electric feel to it. There was a feature of her voice that stood out for Angie Stone. She was great. They had a couple of other hits as well, but the biggest biggest problem to me at that given time was you had Angie Stone singing with two guys, and they were very good. But there was also another group out at that time with two guys and a wonderful female lead singing group that was called Loose Ends. And Loose Ends were the stuff. They hit Slow Down, You Can't Stand the Rain. You could just go. I don't want to make this about them, so let me stop. I just want to compare and show Loose Ends had been out longer. So when the confusion hit, Vertical Hold basically took the hit. But it doesn't take away from her accomplishments and the success of that group. Eventually, in time, she ended up becoming a solo singer. But all the way through, she's been a songwriter and a wonderful songwriter at that. People have to realize that at that time, she was going with the singer D'Angelo. And they have to realize that she wrote a number of the hits from D'Angelo's albums. So she didn't just write for him, but some of her songs were out there. Now, when she did hit her solo, her songs were mighty and plentiful. You had No More Rain. You had I Wish I Didn't Miss You. They had Brother. Then you had Baby, where she sang alongside the great Miss Millie Jackson. That was a great song. But my favorite out of all of her songs, if I had to pick one, my favorite song was called Two Bad Habits. There's something about that. That song was just so good, man. She fit her voice so well. Now, she had a whole lot more hits too as well, but I'm just going to stop right there because I don't want to be rambling. Now, to show her versatility, I've already mentioned rap, the jazzy style, the solo, the songwriting, and then she got into acting. She was a wonderful actress. Anybody that remember the movie The Fighting Temptations that starred Cuba Gooding Jr. and Beyonce and a number of other people as well recognize that Miss Angie Stone was one of the choir members and she had a very good part in that movie as well. She had the movie, the real silly comedy, The Hot Chick. She was in that movie. She was in a couple more movies, but my favorite movie that she was in, there was a movie that came out in about, I want to say 2012, 2014. It was called Across to Bear. And if you never seen it or heard of it, look that movie up, pull that movie up. That was such a great movie. And she, once again, she was such a wonderful actress that she played her part. I did a video recently about female rappers. And in that time, I spoke about the sequence. And in that doing so, I brought up Miss Angie Stone and spoke about her accomplishments. And in doing so, I also said that we cannot go on waiting for people to pass before we give them their flowers. I always say we should give it to them while they're alive to smell it. And that's where I'm going with this. I'm glad I did that video. I'm not such a hypocrite in saying so because at least I gave her flowers at that time. I'm not judging anyone by saying they're doing it now, but I'm just saying in the future, let us not forget all these wonderful singers that we have, wonderful athletes, wonderful actresses, whoever it is. Stop the hate, y'all. Let's give these people their flowers, especially the older ones. But look how this happened. This was a car accident. This wasn't an elderly natural causes situation. It just tells you you never know when it's going to happen. So that's all I'm speaking about in that. And to tell you how life goes full circle, you all, this is what I'm reporting because of what I read. It stated that the person who had to identify her body in Alabama was Gwen Blondie from her group, The Sequence, even though she wasn't traveling in that van at the time. It just shows you how life goes full circle in such a way. I do want to say I want to send my prayers out to her family, most especially to her children. There's not much more I could say. I just wanted to make sure that I gave my praise to her, and I wanted to shout out prayers to her family. And with that, I'll go ahead and close this out. And I just say I want to thank you, Miss Angie Stone, and bye bye.